Greetings. My name is Grandmaster Amin Ra, and I am here to discuss about the situation that we are in America. We, meaning people with skin like mine. My point of this video is to speak to the so-called ADOS people because definitely you're not a community. You're just basically a group of people that have an agenda, and right now you're fighting for that particular agenda. Now, the agenda concludes that you're going to be given some money. And for many of you, though you may not want to admit it, the idea of getting some money really drives you in this agenda. The money is never going to come. The money is never going to come. You might have 100, 200, or 300 black people engaging each other about ADOS and reparations, which is at the heart of this movement. But where are the whites, the white people that are supposed to be supporting it? Now, last time I checked, America's a white country. They're still in power. They still run things. They're still the heart of the government. All of the generals in the Pentagon are white. So where is their voice agreeing with you and supporting you? One thing to agree, a white politician can agree with you, but then get a politician to take action on some of the things they agreed on is another thing altogether. You're going to need lawmakers, and those lawmakers are going to have some white people there, else the people in general are going to just see you as some people that are just black people that are disgruntled and crying for money because you think that when you was a slave, they did you awful, and then they should owe you money for that. When you're a slave, you're a slave. Black people don't hold the patent on slavery. Slavery was there before we were in America, thousands of years ago. So we don't hold a patent on slavery. You cannot talk about today and say I was a slave back then because you wasn't even born. My parents, my great grandparents was a slave back then, and now that's some sort of way for all those hundreds of years trickled down, and that's why I'm poor. That flies in the face of every middle and upper middle income black person that ever lived from slavery time to today. Black people, when it came to the beginning of America, were equal. Yes, you were equal to whites. Okay, I can't say equal to whites, but you was equal to the British colonists. They weren't called whites in the early days. This idea of white people started in around 1664. Before that, blacks not only were equal to whites, but they were marrying white women and they were also owning slaves. It was only when a group of elite whites got the idea that they could subjugate the laws to separate them and improve them, and this started what we call today, the whole slavery movement. It was not something that happened overnight. Black people were slowly and meticulously identified as non-white and then non-citizen, and then later put into slavery and then non-human being. This was all brought about by changes in the law. So the changes in the law, when they changed the law of the land, we supposed to leave that land, but you didn't. You see? Let me say that again. When you got changes in the law of the land, you leave the land. You don't stay and complain, stay and hope things get better. No, you leave. This is our problem. To this day, for 400 years, the black man in America has never been equal to the white man. This day, 400 years, the black man has been in struggle. Struggle. There's never been a time since you got here that you ain't been in struggle and oppressed. Not one day has gone by where they say, okay, black people are now equal to whites. No. President Lincoln said, okay, we're going to give you 40 acres and a mule. I think it was President Lincoln. But Abraham Lincoln was assassinated, and his predecessor said, oh, hell no, I'm not honoring that agreement. And you was just set free in America with nowhere to go. Now, the history books tell us that you spent like the first 2-3 years trying to find your relatives at the different plantations, and trying to restructure yourselves as a people. And this worked well. You got acres, places to live where whites didn't really want or had not been there yet. And you started building what we know as black communities, black homesteads, and even black towns. But by 1919, whites wasn't having that. You started pushing out from the south to the north for jobs. Whites weren't having that. You see. And when you try to be equal with whites, they go rogue on your ass. You see? Maybe you got a few ones here, you're going to run up and put the mic in their mouth when they say, oh, what's wrong what they're doing to the black guy? No. The majority of the government and the majority of whites either are passive or they are totally against blacks being equal with whites. So the ADOS concept, no, it can't work. And for 400 years of oppression, where you have never been equal, I mean, how long do it take you to get the message? How many centuries do it take for you to get the message that in the United States, you never gonna be equal to the white man? He gonna come up with plan after plan until he either wipe you out or subjugate you back into some sort of happy-go-lucky slavery situation that you have to agree on. Because let's face it, the ones blacks that died that didn't agree on that issue, okay, we should be honoring them. But the ones that just said, okay, fine, let me just be a slave, you gave up. So when you gave up, it's like, you accept it. And as accepting this kind of situation, we get what we have today. Now imagine white people uh, paying for degrees as part of white privilege. I mean, they go to college, they don't even have to go pay. They don't have to do the work. They can just pay and get into the top colleges. They can just pay and graduate. And that's the highest level of white privilege. But this concept of white people were invented for them to hold on to power. White people were invented for them to hold on to for power. And if you know the history, if you know the white people's history of white people in the United States, you can understand the situation clearly and then clearly see what you have to do to combat the 400 years of oppression. And yes, I'm here to tell you again, you cannot win by living in the United States. Your power is in what is developed in today and called modern Africa. Okay. So all of this issue of where whites have helped define who we are, Negro, nigga, black African American, all of these concepts are wrong. Because none of them have any actual power. The only identity that gives you power and connects you with a full continent or the majority of people in the world is today known as African. And being in the United States as a slave, let's say coming from Africa, the first thing they did to you when they brought you here and indoctrinated into slavery was to remove your name, remove your language, and remove your identity to your culture. Then from there, it was easy. And when you gave birth to children, you taught them the same thing. So little Chicken George gave birth to, little Kunta Kinte gave birth to Chicken George. You know, it's like that. Names that have no meaning, no connection. They couldn't allow you to be connected to Africa. And this is why I say that the white man's greatest fear is for you to have that connection. And this is why they followed Malcolm X all through Africa when he was there and murdered him less than a month after he got back. They couldn't have that. This is why they got rid of Marcus Garvey the moment he started talking about having ships to go and travel back and forth to Africa. They couldn't have that. This is why they murdered Martin Luther King when he said, I had a dream and I seen the promised land. Now, if Martin Luther King would have said that promised land is Africa, of which he had went twice, then you would have been seeing stars. And there's a lot of reasons why you ask the majority of blacks don't know that Martin Luther King went to Africa, him and his wife. And they had a lot of revelations, but you never hear about those revelations. You see? And he was given a lot of leeway, the same reason why Dave Chappelle was given a lot of leeway. He had went to Africa and he has seen the reality. Although when King went, he just saw at the beginning stages of Africa's development. But today, those stages are clear. And the haters and the agents are singing this song of Africa is controlled by the white man. This is a lie. This is a complete lie. How in the hell can you be in America and you believe that the white man is controlling Africa? He ain't got that kind of power. He does not have that kind of power. He never had that kind of power. Because when he was in when he came into Africa and tried to colonize the African, he couldn't even do that thing for 100 years. The Africans wasn't going for that. When they realized, they tried to accommodate the white man. But when they found out that what his game plan was, they wasn't having it. And the African is somebody you don't want to play with. This is a very powerful person. The African, though you may see him in America, when you talk to him, remember he's talking he's not talking in his first language. He's talking in his second language, and so he might seem humble and maybe speak slow. But I live amongst the African, and I have been dealing with them for 30 years now, over 30 years. I know them. They're not somebody you want to play with. They're gonna be humble to you by culture, and it's the cultural problem that you welcome visitors. That's deep into the culture, and they will follow that. And the white person came here, the European came here and took advantage of that. But once he got it in his head that was what was happening, it was, oh hell no. I don't care what the European history books tell you. The British didn't have no choice. They had to give up the people. They had to get the land. They had to put blacks in charge. They couldn't be running around like that because they was getting hacked and killed. The British, they had to give up their territory. The Germans, they gave up their territory after World War II. But the Belgians in the Congo, oh, they had to give it up. You can't just be killing off Africans like that. When they turn, that's it. And a classic example of watching what an African is capable of is what happened in Rwanda. The Rwanda genocide shows you that when an African is pissed off, he don't care. He don't care if it's you, his brother, his fellow tribesman. When he go off on you, that's the end of that. You can't stop that. No G.I. Joe army you see on TV is gonna stop the African when he says no. Okay, I'm saying he's slow to say no. And there's large numbers of them. It takes time for them to get organized. But when they get a group of them organized, you can forget it. Like the Zulu, I'm telling you, if they didn't have 3 Gatling guns, back then, the British didn't have 3 Gatling guns, they would have lost. The Zulu would wipe them out completely. It was only by a few bullets from the Gatling gun that the British happened to survive, but they never did rule. You see, they never did rule after that. The Afrikaners came in and they did all that. When they did the Sheffield massacre, and oh no, that was it. You see, and the African gave them. They had to put Mandela in the office. They had to bring him out because the Africans was murdering them off, and they could see the tension in the African, and they had already known through history. If you get the African get pissed off and start getting upset, it's over. They're gonna just have a thing where they click and they say every white person got to be hacked to death. Not even no one survived, and that's what they would have done. They did that to their own people in Rwanda. You can imagine what they would do to white people if they started rolling and that started taking that kind of information started going to the masses of black people that were already being oppressed. Okay. So white people was lucky to get out of Africa with their lives. Africans run their own nation. Let me read your chats because I appreciate you guys being here. I see Doug. I'm not pushing reparations, but I'm open to it if it's an agenda. You're not open to reparations. You're open to money. You feel that like I feel it. Because I'm in Africa and I'm like, man, if those guys start getting big paychecks, shit, I was thinking about going back and getting mine. That's what we feel. But we have to be realistic. There's no way they're going to spend 400 years of keeping you separate and letting you live. So even if they gave you money, they would already have a think tank plan in place to make sure you either spend that money or that you don't have no way you can be equal with the white man. There's no amount of money you can be given. You see? You can be a rich nigger or you can be a rich Negro, but you ain't at the elite. You ain't in power. You get what I'm saying? And at the end of the day, that's what you want. You want to be empowered. You want to be able to be free and walk around and go places. It's not about the money. No, you can get a brand new Cadillac or a brand new Mercedes or whatever, and you be driving down, I-10 and the police will pull you over and put you in your place. take your car on GP. You understand what I'm saying? Get back to what I'm saying. White people started this thing by enacting laws and putting laws into place and enforcing those laws. And no matter how much reparation money they give you, if they impact laws to suppress you, you're done. You know, we got Negro laws here, laws that are against Negroes completely. Drug dealing. Oh, you say drug dealing, that's gonna be pointed at black people. You know, murder. You're gonna point the finger at you. You see, white people can sell drugs and then go get a break, but you as a black person, they hunting to put you in jail. Juanzi Jakufu did a show in 1985 when he was talking about the prison rate. He did the statistics, and he said, oh, there was 300,000 blacks in prison as one of the reasons why there was the conspiracy to destroy the black male child. So one of those reasons was black men not being equal to black women because the numbers have been reducing. And one of those reasons was black men in prison. He wrote on the board 1985, 300,000. He did an interview recently, and he just told all the story. Oh, it's 800,000. From 300,000 to 800,000 in a span of 25 years. Nothing like that. But it wasn't even 25 years. This only happened in the last 15 years. It went from 400,000 to 800,000 black men in prison. Not to mention over 1.2 million that's caught up in the justice system on probation. And I would say like half of the brothers active working have some sort of attack dealings with child support issues, but they're not talking about that. So I'm saying to you, ADOS people, get that out your mind. They didn't work this hard to make you like this so that you can just all of a sudden get reparation money. No, it's never going to come. And we have to remember that Dr. Claude Anderson tried this several years ago. God bless his soul. And he just had to quit because there was no way you're going to get that money. Whites are not going to support that idea. Real, that had an agenda, it's present. The problem, there has been multiple people who have had agendas and you can't even name them because you haven't been given them by your enemy. You've been given it. Yes, exactly. Another thing about black people, about white people, is that black people in America, you just don't know how devious they can be. You don't know the trickery. You know, the Bible says they are liars and the father of lies. You know, and I was in the comment section of one of my videos, and it was the guy is trying to tell me he saw an article in the news talking about there was 3 military bases in Kenya. And I'm like, man, you can't, the news can lie. You cannot use the newspapers. You know, he was saying, oh, but this is a Kenyan newspaper that said this. That don't make a difference. The news can lie to you. Legally, they can lie. And they have been doing that. So you can't get information sound from the news. It's not only what they put in the news it's not only the lies they put in the news. It's the news they don't tell you about that also affects us and keeps us where we are, oppressed and out of the mainstream. I mean, my God, man, we as black men, our women are hating us. How can we sit in a society that promotes this? So I just wanted to come on the video today and discuss this issue about the ADOS movement, and because I saw those guys were jumping up and down, and I'm trying to tell you, look, this is never going to happen. I'm 60 years old. I have heard this over and over again. It comes up every once in a while around political time, and people start talking about it. But unless you got white people on board with you, you ain't going nowhere with that. You get laughed right out of Congress. Ain't nobody gonna support that. You understand what I'm saying? And then how much they gonna pay you? That's gonna be something that's gonna empower you to be equal with whites. And when I say equal with whites, this is what you really mean. You mean you want to be free like whites. Like they're gonna accept you even if you got money. No. It's not going to be like that. They're not going to accept you, money or no money. You think you're going to pull all your money together and white people going to come together and take that reparation money and then invest it in some town or city where all black people can now go and we can be, and then what? You're just trying to show out for white people. As if the measure of white society is all that you need to reach out to. You ain't American. You're African. Bring your ass to Africa and then do that. You'd be far better off than what you're talking about, staying in America and fighting. This is another one. Fighting for how? Martin Luther King told you the reason why he pushed nonviolence is because black people would be foolish to try to start a fight and war and shootouts with white people. Because for every gun that a black person has, the white man got 9. And for every gun a black person got, white man got 9 different guns and ammunition to boot. And let's keep in the fact that ain't no black gun company, ain't no black ammunition company in America. So what you gonna do when you run out of bullets? Go over time out. Let me go give me some bullets so I can continue to fight you. No, they already got that covered. They already got that covered. So the war of shooting and killing and fighting white people, you're a minority, fool. Do the math. They would wish you would come out and fight. You see? And you better be glad that there's no foolish black group of people that go around start shooting white people, because then every black person would be a target. So I'm trying to explain to you guys, because also in the chat room they were saying, oh, I mean, you're talking, but you don't have solutions. In my earlier videos with Dynas, I gave out plenty of solutions. But the whole point of the solution is that you got to separate from him for the sake of your children. Many of you have children and you're raising them in the same system that you was raised in. The outcome is going to continually be the same. You got to get those little baby taxpayers outside of the U.S. If you pull your children into an African boarding school, and I'm talking about right now, Black Americans need to say like this: I got a 6-year-old son. I'm gonna do my money, do my math. I'm gonna set up a situation. I'm gonna get on social media. I'm gonna meet people, and then I'm gonna send my son to Africa to go to boarding school. I know maybe some people like be shocked, but most Africans are raised in boarding school, and this is one of the major differences between them and us. Come the age of 13, 14, they're in a boarding school. And these boarding schools are historic. They've been there for hundreds of years, not hundreds of years, but they've been here from the foundation from the British time. And they say, they take your child and they raise them and they put them in an environment where they're conducive for them to get an education. It's nothing like they can run away from school, they can drop out. It's nothing like that. They'll be stuck in an environment where they have to learn and be educated. So they come out smarter, they come out more self-disciplined, because they've been taught to wash their own clothes, they've been taught how to cook their own meals, you see? So, but they go in when they're 13 and they come out when they're 19. Now, by the time they come out when they're 19, they should be having social life dealing with Africans. And I tell you this, if your 19-year-old comes out of that environment of being in a boarding school in Africa, he can come to America and see racism. Well, he ain't gonna choose him. He's not gonna choose America. He's not gonna choose America. And if you raise him right and tell him the truth about what's happening in America, he'd better stay in Africa. And with modern Africa booming the way it is, and the growth and opportunities that are here, minus racism, it's not going to be very hard for him to get into employment or get into business opportunities. It'd be far better for him to be in business opportunity in a safer environment with no guns, running around in an industrial area and side of a modern African country than it would be for him to be in, gun-slinging, drug-toting, homosexuality America. So this is what I'm saying. This is my solution. It's not going to happen overnight. It may not happen in your lifetime, but your children, you should be preparing them not to be paying tax, working and paying tax in America. That is what the white man is hoping for. But you pull your kid out, put him in that modern African society, I guarantee you he'd be better off. I'll say that on tape. I'll say that on air. You see? And when he's there and you're telling him what's happening in the United States, where the curriculum's got homosexuality built into the curriculum now, what's that? You understand what I'm saying to you? Some of you older people, you in your 40s and 50s, you know that homosexual stuff just came yesterday. And that shit is nasty. How can that be? How can we allow that? You know how you can allow that? Because you think you don't have an option. And you do have an option, and it's modern Africa. Maybe you tied down in the justice system. Maybe you tied down in the credit system. But goddamn it, your children ain't got that yet, hopefully. And right now, whether they're 6 years old, 7, 8, 9, 10-year-old, 11-year, your contribution would be to take them to a boarding school in modern Africa. Let them get African friends. Those African friends that they have in high school, connect them to other African business opportunities that you instill in them while they're in school there. And at one time, when they're settled and start having business opportunities and making friends in the society, and they're living in Africa, you can come visit them and say, "My son, this is what I've given you. I'm glad that you're not in that nonsense that was in America." And you can see the difference, and he can also see the difference. You must start explaining it to him like that. So I have made my solution, and I've given it out for you now to say this is the solution. If you can't get to move to modern Africa at this point in time, while the countries are growing at the rate that they're growing, I know you can't see it, and America's trying to hide it, but thank goodness for the Chinese, they're giving us structure loans. So the infrastructure loans, they're not giving us loans on hotels. They're not giving us loans on basketball teams and these kind of things that what the IMF and the World Bank was doing. Apartment buildings, that's nonsense. They're building roads, freeways, high-speed train networks, these things that will allow African goods to transport freely through Africa. They're opening up with the modern railway. They're opening up areas that were never developed before, and towns and cities are already starting to be built in these areas that were empty before because of the high-speed railway and the new freeway system. You know, and I'm talking basically about Kenya, but we didn't used to have freeways in Kenya. But now they're all over the place, and you can just see the traffic. This is the key. This is what America did when in the early days, built a highway network, and that was what really drove industrial development. And this is what's happening in Africa today with the Chinese. And nobody knows better about coming up from nothing to something than the Chinese. And that is this thing of the Chinese going to take over Africa. I'm trying to tell you, they've been in business with Africa for 18 years. You people been asleep. They've been in business with Africa for 19 years now. Ain't nobody colonized nobody. They just renewed their agreement last year for another 10, 15 years. Okay, you cannot develop a nation without loans. And the IMF and the World Bank knew this, and they were taking advantage of the African countries, almost brought many African countries to their knees, including Kenya, and I saw it. Kenya was in so much debt to the IMF, and they were putting so many conditions on the loans to pay that they couldn't even build any new primary schools during that time when I first came into Kenya. And so the primary schools were even being dilapidated and, run down. But today, the president of Kenya can go out and spend billions of shillings and give almost 75% of the primary schools hundreds of tablets each. 50 tablets, 100 tablets each in every school. There it is right here. This one. This is not the white man. This is the government of Kenya. Put this tablet to give digital revision and digital education to all of the students in primary school. This is an African government doing this. Huh? And I found opportunities in that area, and that's what I'm pursuing. But there's many other areas in transport, in manufacturing, in trade. There's many other areas that are opening up because Africa is growing. Make sure you do it. I remember, how did you set up the martial art league, and how comes did you, what kinds did you face? How long did you have to teach before getting it going? Okay, the history of me really quick on that issue really is that I had a martial arts school for 10 years when I was in the United States. And I was a great businessman. I grew it from 8 people in South Central Los Angeles, 8 students I started with, and then I had over 100 active students and over 300 students, but 108 active in 1 month when I did the count. So it grew like that. And then once that point hit, it started being the makeup of South Central started changing, and then I started getting more Mexican students than I was getting black students. So I was like, damn, this is not it defeated my purpose, because I wanted to get the message out that the martial arts started with blacks. So when I came to Africa, I was fully prepared. I knew how to run a business. But when I got here and I started teaching the art, nobody knew anything about Kempo martial arts. They only knew 2 things, Shotokan and Taekwondo. And this is what I'm trying to tell you, black folks. We got a lot of things that we know that the Africans are not privy to. So when I came up with a modern martial art that was not like, the Asian brand, it just took off. The African was like, yes, that's what we want. Yes, you see. And then the martial arts being developed by Steve Muhammad and the Black Karate Federation, the movements were natural to our body movements, not like the Asian. Our Asian bodies are different than black bodies. And you sitting there going, that thing didn't work. So when I showed them this and showed them a realistic point, they took it. And then from there, it was like my students started opening up clubs, but they didn't know how to run clubs. So I started a federation, and I started training instructors. And then we grew like that and grew like that today. Last night, I was doing another seminar at a school here in Coast, a new school that started opening in Coast. I'm still doing it 20 years later, and it's my passion and my love. Now this is my passion and my love. Digital revision. This is a lot of money. There are 22,000 public primary schools in Kenya. Huh? And they've been doing exams using paper. So the school got like 400 class A students that do exams, and the school got to go out and buy 400 papers. But I showed them how you can put the exam on a tablet and you don't have to buy paper. And so that's what we are. We're trying to expand that now. Huh? You're welcome. I'm doing this new, but I'm doing this chat thing new, and I'm trying to make sure that I get these points, because I don't get to talk to you when you're live in the chat. Doug, let me read your comment. He made my point. He came there with knowledge of operating a business. I can't get answers for those that do not know how to run a business. Brother, Doug, I'm here. Okay, I'm right now. I'm creating. I'm in the process of creating a major business that's going to have many employees. And I'm telling you, Doug, I would love for my brothers from the U.S. to come in and I employ them. Do you think I would run a company? Okay, I've got a few employees now, but that number is going to grow. 22,000 primary schools throughout the country. It's got to expand. Now I can hire Africans, but I can also hire Black Americans. And I would love that if I get the right brothers to come. You understand what I'm saying? So it's a process, and there are people like me who are developers, and then there are people that are good, honest, hardworking Black people. Unfortunately, our good, honest, hardworking Black people are being mistreated in the United States, and they're not getting everything that they deserve. But when it comes to modern Africa, they can get a simple life. They can get a house for little money. They can get starting off. And then eat fresh food, live in a happy environment. No police patrols, no people shooting you with guns, no drugs everywhere around the community. Yes, and then boom, You see, they can see like, okay, this is a much better life. They can have their children. The family structure is not going to be attacked from one way or the other. Their African queen is going to be by their side because she's culturally designed to do her part as part of the family. So yes, it's a long-term plan. It's not done in a lifetime. It's a wave. And depending where you are in America in your situation, you can find exactly how you can do it. You may not do it the same way I did it. You may do it differently. What country in Africa are you in? I'm in Kenya. Okay, I went to several African countries after this was my home base, and then I went to check out other African countries, and then I realized that this was the best place. So I stayed here. Now, I was almost to go to South Africa and live there, but the blacks, no, I didn't like it, and there's too much violence for me in South Africa back then when I went. I don't know how it's going to be with Julius. Now he's going to take over. Shoot, might be better. But the white people got to go. They can't be anywhere involved in that situation. They got most of the land in South Africa, and until that situation is corrected like it was in Zimbabwe, there's not going to be no growth. And once you get the situation corrected, it's going to take time to grow. Now, in Zimbabwe, they took over the land. They took the land back from the white people, and then America slapped all these sanctions on Zimbabwe so that they couldn't grow. If they didn't have the sanctions, Zimbabwe would be the biggest country in Africa by now. But America has slapped on all kinds of sanctions to keep that from happening. And you have to know this in the United States, what America is doing, their foreign policies in Africa is doing. So I'm in Kenya. I'm in Mombasa, the second largest city. It's a coastal city like Los Angeles. The weather is beautiful. Every day I look out the window. I stopped and told my students, stop. You young people, stop. Look out there. Look at that. Look at that. They didn't even realize it because they live here. That's part of their life. They don't see nothing. They ain't never seen snow. They never seen no cold weather. So they like, what's that? What's that, sir? It's just the sun. And I'm like, no, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. So yeah, that's where I'm at. What country am I in? Okay, thanks for intel. Don't thank me. Keep asking me questions. Thank me. Don't thank me. Ask me more questions. Is that a flow system similar to Dr. Moses Powell? Do you have any videos on your? Oh my goodness, man! Go to Facebook and type in Mantis Kimple. I got so many groups. African Sport Karate League is there. I created a martial arts sport karate league of tournaments. It's in its 21st year now, and it's still going strong. So you can go there. If you can get in connected with me, you can see my groups. You can see that all the things that are happening. Even the calendar is there. Kenya Kimple Federation. You can search that on Facebook. Okay, go tell your customer I said hi. So my point is to go on through with this video, and I want to kind of come to a conclusion on this one, is that modern Africa is the only solution to our problem. And we have many types of problems, many complex problems as Black people in America. And I'm saying as modern Africa grows, there are solutions that can be made there. But for right now, I just want to point out that ADOS, they're not going to give you no money. It's just your hang time is almost up, tongue toes is almost dying out, and you're going to be right back into what's the next solution they're going to give you. But you're not going to get the money, and it's really not about the money. It's really about the power and the equality that you think you're going to get in American life, which is never going to be there. How can General Motors be the #1 company? It'd be annexed out of the country, which and then you expect the country to be still powerful like it was in the 60s and 70s? No. Black people got to realize white people conspired and took the #1 biggest employer of Black General Motors and took it out and gave it to the Chinese. They ain't care about you. See, if you're not suffering on your job, you know 20 people that are. When you driving home from work, you see them people running around on the street homeless, and you just be saying, thank God that's not me. But any day it could be you. Go interview some of them people. They're like, hey, Monday I was okay. Tuesday, goddamn, I was on the street. And this is what's happening more and more. You see? Go to the prison and interview people. They're going to be telling you, look, they made me plead guilty to a lesser charge, and then when I got inside, somebody tripped me, and then I hit somebody, and then they gave me another 10 years. You see, That's not going to be advertised on social media. You're not going to see that on Instagram, but that's what's happening inside the prison. They're locking us up and keeping us locked up. They're locking us up and keeping us locked up longer. Working for 10 shillings a day, and a phone call costs 3 shillings. I mean, they working for 10 cents a day, and the phone call costs 3 cents a minute. So you locked in, you got to work like 20 days to get like a 5-minute phone call. So these are situations that we need to stop on. So anyway, thank you guys for listening to me rant, and I'm gonna rant some more. And please share the video, like and subscribe. I don't know why I've got 2 people in the room. Okay, the name of no, not Mantis Temple, Mantis Kemple, Mantis Kemple, Kenpo. Okay, so until we meet again, thanks for listening, and let's do another one soon.